Yo, people, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to KGX to the ZTV. Here today with another Chelsea related video. This time, Chelsea versus Wolves preview. Match week 2, second match of the Premier League. This time we go on the road to the Molineux. Both sides coming off of 2-0 defeats. Ours at home to the champions and holders, Manchester City, whereas Wolves went away to the Emirates, to second place, last year's second place squad, runners up, Arsenal, and kept it very respectable and lost 2-0 as well. Coming into this one, I would say after the performance on Thursday versus Servette in the Conference League, it's definitely a must win for us. Not so much in terms of performance wise, right? This particular stage and this point of the season, for right now, the 3 points matters more than the performance, right? It'd be lovely if we were able to get 3 points and put in a good performance, but realistically speaking, that's not probable with this Chelsea team. So new into a new manager's philosophy, a lot of moving parts, a lot of drama around the club, and just a side that's just not settled, still trying to find their legs, and things like that. So, we won't get into too much, excuse me, of the last match. We covered that on one of our videos in terms of the match review with Manchester City, but feel free to go check it out. But for us going into this one, we are pretty much full strength, with the exception of Reece James, who's obviously injured, although he's been back in training a little bit off to the side. Not off to the side in terms of where Sterling, where Chilwell and all them men are, but more of just trying to regain his fitness. But he's suspended anyways, finishing out the second of his 3-match suspension, actually maybe 4 carrying over from last year, since it was his second violent conduct charge of the year. Something that Reece has got to step out of his game, no pun intended, right? Wolves coming in full strength too, with the exception of Semedo, who's also suspended from last year as well. So they're both starting first choice right backs are not available for this one. Obviously for us, Reece James is probably a bigger miss. Although you could say that the drop off between Reece and Gusto is not as severe as the drop off between Semedo and his deputy. But nonetheless, it would be nice to have a fully fit Reece James back into the squad, back into the side. Hopefully, we'll get that soon, and those injury concerns will be a thing of the past. But it's a tricky one for us, right? Wolves has beat us 3 times on the trot, including the scene of a Raheem Sterling crime last year. Obviously, the 3-on-1, not squaring the ball, blah, blah, blah. Been talked to death. But, yeah, 3 times in a row. And I believe we haven't won at the Molineux since, I want to say since Tomori hit that goal. Maybe, what was that, Lampard's year? So, what's that, 2019, 2020? So, it's been a while. It's definitely one of the tougher grounds to go to. Wolves are, like I said, they're full strength. Cunha was only fit enough to make the bench last time, and versus Arsenal, came on late in that one, got some legs or some minutes in his legs. I'd expect him to be back, so you're probably going to see him. You're going to see Hwang up top, maybe Podence off the bench, who's coming back from loan from, I think, Olympiacos in Greece. So they definitely got some players that, if we're not careful, can hurt us, especially concerned about Cunha's ability to drive with the ball through the midfield. That's something that the last 2 matches that we've played, we've been susceptible to, right? Last preseason match, Inter cut us wide open down the middle with Marcus Thuram, eventually with a lovely left-footed finish. But then last week we saw a poor clearance by Fofana land to the feet of Kovacic. He gets past Caicedo, shrugs off Caicedo. Enzo takes a poor angle. Fofana and Colwill are specifically Colwill's backing off, and then Kovacic hits a shot. Sanchez should be saving it, but regardless, the root of the problem is still there, right? Just straight down the middle, cutting right through our defense. And if you look at one of the weaknesses of our team, and there's a lot of them, but one of the weaknesses is just the physicality, right? We just don't have those that presence in the midfield, right? Caicedo's a physical player in the sense that he's not afraid to get stuck in, but he's not the kind that's going to be bullying people off the ball and things like that. He's going to nick it from you, maybe intercept it, maybe deflect the pass and things like that. But those physical monsters that we used to have, the Mikels, the Matiches, the Essiens, the Contes, the Makaleles, those real big sixes, we are just lacking. We had one in Ugochukwu, but obviously he's young and he's out on loan to Southampton. But regardless, we come to the party with who we have, and we will make do. So if we're looking at predictions and predicted lineups, I would probably say I'm going to see Sanchez again in goal, although Jorgensen did equate himself very well in the Europa Conference League match. I wouldn't be opposed to him starting, although I can understand him being new to the team, him being relatively young. Throwing him into the fire could be potentially detrimental to a young keeper's confidence and things like that. But on the other hand, sometimes the unknown in Jorgensen is better than the known in Sanchez, right? We've seen him pull out some good stops. We've seen him, like the Kovacic shot I mentioned before, get his hands to something that he really should be saving. And then we know what his distribution's like. He is extremely callous and risky, and just lacks concentration and execution. So sort of like Badiashile, right? When Badiashile just has those moments where he just passes it directly to the other team, or he kind of takes his time and dallies on the ball. So expect Sanchez in goal. Left back, I expect Cucurella. Center backs will probably be the same center backs from Matchweek 1 in Colwell and Fofana. And then right back, you're probably going to see Malo Gusto. Midfield, I'd say you're definitely going to see Lavia. Probably going to see Caicedo with maybe with Enzo in there as well, considering he came on late came on late in the Servette match. But it'll be interesting to see how attacking he goes. But I'd expect on the left-hand side, you're going to see Neto. I expect you'll see Palmer. I think you'll see Madueke. And then think you'll see Nico up tops. Potentially Neto instead of, or maybe on that left-hand side to allow for Madueke to come in. But it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to have somebody like Neto, somebody like Enzo coming off the bench should we find ourselves down and we need a little offensive spark, especially seeing how Enzo and Madueke kind of teamed up for that second goal versus Servette. So I think you'll see that, and then that would leave the likes of maybe Nkuku on the bench. Nkuku played the first two matches. You'll probably see, like I said, Neto on the bench, Mudryk on the bench. So we'll definitely have a strong bench, and one that's capable of providing the spark should we need it. I always worry about the defensive side, right? When it's time to lock games down, right? Chelsea of old would get a lead, sit on it, and just kill matches out. Maybe get the second goal, third goal, and kill teams off. But defensively, we would just swat everything away, knock everything down, and just really ensure that we get out of there with the 3 points. But it's definitely gonna be interesting. When I look at the Wolves side and I look at the key matchups and the players that I think are going to cause problems with us, again, I mentioned Cunha, just his ability to pop up in spaces, get the ball on the turn or spin a defender, and then if he beats somebody, we know that he is just downhill leading that counterattack. We know Hwang is very, very, very pacey. He can play either up top or on that left-hand side. We know they've got a big hole in their defense when it comes to selling Max Kilman. But again, they do have some quality players. But I believe they've lost their last 5 going back to last year. So from what I've read and from what I've seen online, Gary O'Neill is potentially under the hot seat, and Wolves fans are somewhat nervous considering that there hasn't been much transfer activity and many new players coming in to help strengthen the squad. Um, Especially when you factor in that we gave them about 50 up front, 50 million pounds up front for Neto. And then I think they got around 20 to 30 for Max Kilman, who's very, very good center back. So yeah, I definitely understand, Wolves fans' frustration and their nervousness about them having what it takes to stay up in the league, and whether or not they have enough quality. I do, if we're looking at some of the other players on the Wolves side that could potentially cause damage, I definitely look at Ait Nouri. He is a really, really, really good player. I think he would be a good fit for a lot of top six sides. He's young, he's physical, he's got pace, he can come inside and invert. He can also do the overlapping traditional thing. So he's a player that I know Liverpool was linked with as a potential Andy Robertson replacement should they decide on Simicast's future and things like that. But even before, Cucurella's little kind of 180 when it comes to form, he was a player that I think we should have had our eye on. Right, good age profile, international. Just a really good, solid technical player that also has the physical traits needed to succeed in this league. So, they definitely, like I said, definitely it's going to be tough. The Molineux, our first away match of the year. Get to break out those nice away kits. It'd be even nicer if Boli and Iqbali got their shit together and got us a damn sponsor. They claim the business side of the football dealings would be on point and would be not so much revolutionized but sort of modernized, and they've just failed to deliver that. Right, sponsors coming in late, selling the hotels and all that business stuff that we expected would be improved upon since the Roman era. But perhaps they're waiting for that Champions League spot to kind of raise those deals up. So maybe we see a 1-year deal for a kit sponsor, but for now, it's still embarrassing, right? We're still looking like a bootleg Serie A side that doesn't have an official kit sponsor on there, right? Probably the only league in the only team in the Premier League that doesn't have one, but we'll get it sorted hopefully and bring some extra revenue to the club and figure it out. But to make this one a quick one, if we're talking about predictions, my heart says a 2-1 win, but my brain says 2-2 draw. So I'm gonna go 2-2 draw. I think I picked 2-1 for City in the last one, so it's fairly close. So yeah, we'll see. Should be, like I said, it's an early one for us here in the States on the East Coast, 9:00 kickoff, and a very important one considering we've got one more match after this before one of the dreaded international breaks. So very important for us to take all 3 points, get out of there with no injuries, and kind of get the vibes going back again. It'd be nice to get away from Stamford Bridge and some of the toxic negativity that the match-going fans have kind of displayed at our style of play and at Maresca, kind of similar to the Sarri days when it started to turn. But yeah, 2-1. 2-1 is my hope, but 2-2 is my final prediction. So appreciate everyone checking in. Let me know in the comments what your prediction is. Let me know what your thoughts on the preview, players to watch for both Chelsea as well as for Wolves. And then make sure you hit that subscribe, make sure you hit that like, and I will see you with the post-game match review. All right, peace.